All right, the Colorado Avalanche take their talents to the desert and the start of a little bit of a road trip for them in Arizona. Can they stay hot against the Arizona Coyotes? And the NHL deciding to make some changes to the All-Star game. Is it even worth it? No. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure to follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us over on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. Make sure you subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that is in the show notes below. And when you do, you become one of our very special insiders. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, and we get and read your opinions on the air like we will do a little bit later with the All-Star game. So yeah, and we also threw a mailbag segment out to them as well. Very Christmas related.
Ho, ho, ho.
I threw out the, hey, ask us whatever you want, Avalanche related, Christmas related. The subtext people ran with the Christmas stuff, so why not? Tis the season. So we'll get to that a little bit later. Where we're going to start today, Mr. Sullivan, is the Avs are playing. So, that's where we have to start. They're playing well as of late. They're going into Arizona, who is a much improved team. They're playing well enough for them right now, right? So, and this has been, we talk about Arizona all the time when they go up against the Avs, and how they just seem to be a thorn in the side for the Avalanche. What are we expecting in this game?
Well, when you hear Arizona Coyotes, everybody has the same idea in mind. They play in a tiny, tiny arena where the Avalanche will be, by the way. They're going to be in Mullet Arena. They are not a good team, but they always seem to have the upper hand on
but
the
they're
Arizona.
not a horrible team anymore.
And that's the thing.
They're not.
This year, the Arizona Coyotes are over 500.
Yeah.
They have some mojo. They know what they're doing, and they're just getting started. And we say this every time the Avalanche go up against the Coyotes. This is one of those statement games that teams like Arizona look forward to in beating teams like Colorado and saying, hey, we can beat Colorado. They usually do. And this team, for everything the Avalanche have put together to this point, this is a great test because the Arizona Coyotes are not traditional hockey powerhouse. You're not, It's not your Lightning. It's not your Kraken. It's not your Vancouver Canucks. This is good. This is like, they figured it out and they're making it work Arizona style. How does Colorado as a team beat a team that's just making it up as they go along Indiana Jones style?
Well, I think they have a little bit of confidence right now, and you haven't played them at all, right? So if they got out to, the I'm using air quotes, like the typical Arizona start to a season, then you'd kind of be looking at this game as you've been looking at the past handful of seasons. But they've got out to the start that I think that they've wanted to get out to. I don't like, this is not a playoff team, but they're an improved team. And I think they want to see that. Like, now is the time to start doing that. At some point, you need to stop being the on the bottom of your shoe of the NHL. And the Coyotes have just been doing that for way too long. And if I'm a fan of that team, you just got to be like, okay, when is the turnaround going to come?
Yeah.
I'm not expecting the turnaround to be what we've been, and then the turnaround is make the playoffs. But we need to be somewhere other than the bottom of the basement. And right now they're not. They're not. So you've gotten out to for the Arizona Coyotes a pretty darn good start. So now you match up against the Avalanche at this stage in the game, and you got some confidence. And you're going up against, a team that won the Stanley Cup not that long ago, a team that you're very familiar with because they're in their division. This is a game where how many times have we said this so far this year? You're going to say like that's kind of like our test, one of those test games. You have those against all the top teams in the league. This is exactly where Arizona is in when, are we going to take that next step? And if we do, we need to, at the end of the season, look at, a bird's eye view of how we did against teams like, Dallas and Colorado. And so they're going to want it. They're going to want to come out and play a very good game because they want to feel like they can hang, and they can't. Like, they got some really, really talented players on this team that just need a couple years of seasoning, and then they're going to be even higher than they want to be right now.
And that's the thing with Arizona. It's always when Arizona beats a team, it's never Arizona. It's, I can't believe Colorado let Arizona win, and everybody forgets about it the next day. And but then when like teams like Colorado beat Arizona, that's what they're supposed to do. And Arizona's figured it out. When you catch teams and you beat them, string it together, make that your streak. And they put it together this year. And guess what? Their goalie, Connor Ingram, everybody remember that name as a Nashville Predator? Like that's a good goalie. And we talk about good goalie play. Arizona's got it. They got good defense. They got your boy Michelli. Like,
that's my man.
it's a really good team, and you always think this is a trap game, especially going into that back-to-back on the weekend. You get Anaheim and LA.
Yeah.
But you would really like to see the Avalanche. You've seen them against the top teams. You want to see them against Arizona. Like, it means nothing, but they always seem to find success. I'd like to see Colorado find success against the team that always finds success.
So going back to when was this? October 28th. That was against the Kings. And they lost that game. They gave up 3 goals in the third period. Arizona scored 4 in the first, and they ended up losing 5-4.
You said that's the Kings.
That was the Kings. So that was the second game of a back-to-back against the Kings, which they lost both of them to LA.
That's 4 in the first on the Kings. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. So since that game, that was a loss. They have gone loss, win, like back and forth. They've had nothing more than a 1-game winning or losing streak until these last 2 games, which they have victories against the Vegas Golden Knights, in which they shut them out 2-0, and then they just beat Tampa Bay 3-1. So this is their first winning streak since the end of October. But it's just funny to look at that on ESPN. It's just win-loss for a month. But that's what you're going to get in this team. Like it's that I went through like the deep like stats and all that stuff. Like there's nothing that they are great at, with the exception of one. I'll get that in a second, but there's nothing where they are like awesome at, and there's nothing where they're terrible. They are just in the median of almost everything. But the one area that they're really good at, they're number 6 in the league in power play percentage.
Ooh, match that up with that penalty kill for Colorado.
Exactly.
And you're telling me Arizona was able to beat Vegas, something Colorado has not been able to do with this incredible high-speed depth team. That's impressive. And if you want to be a 500 team, I guess you have to go 500 the whole stretch and win-loss.
It's just crazy.
It's all part of the plan.
Yeah. So they did. Let me see. And they can score. They're pretty even in scoring. I think they only are like +2. They have 2 more goals scored than they've given up. So and then you look at who their scorers are. Clayton Keller is maybe one of the best players on a team that maybe a lot of people don't really realize.
Yep.
If he's on like an original 6 team or just one of the upper echelon teams, that guy is a household name, an all-star, superstar, whatever you want to put behind him. He's fantastic.
Yep.
Really, really good hockey player. So you got to watch out for him. And then, you got he leads their team. with 19 points. And then Matthias Michelli, he's my homeboy. He's tied for second with 16 points with Nick Schmaltz. Nick Bukestad's got 14. Lawson Krause has 13. Logan Cooley with 13. And everybody's high on Logan Cooley right now. It's just they are putting together a really nice, solid team. And you just give them a couple years, and they're going to be even more difficult to go up against than they are right now.
And something that's not talked about a lot, Mullet Arena. It's the reverse home ice advantage. Teams come in and they're like, oh, it's Mullet Arena. It's smaller. It feels weird. The locker rooms are weird. Everything about Mullet Arena is weird for an away team. Arizona's used to it. And that's where you catch these teams sleeping, because it's hard to win a game on the road. It's hard to win a game on the road in that weird type of smaller environment. So
you don't have any expectations there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It takes you out of the element. Like usually, like you could get fired up, like, oh, we're going into Tampa. These guys are crazy. Same with Seattle. They're new. They have no history, but it's still a cool arena to be in. Arizona's just non-conventional. Nothing about it.
You don't have to worry about 18,000 people booing you. You just worry about 5,000 people who are there for a good time, playing and watching a hockey game.
And that'll take you out of your element. So this is also going to test the mental side of this Avalanche team. Like we talk about the 60-minute effort. Like you're going to have a 60-minute effort. Like you have to stay disciplined through this game and not get into those distractions, because it's easy to go to the face-off and watch a conversation in the front row and forget about what you're doing and get taken advantage of.
I do. I think this is going to be a fun game. I think Arizona can hang. They're a good, speedy team. Is this just a game where the talent level for the Avalanche just rises above what Arizona has? And that's not to slight Arizona. I think that's kind of where this goes, because the Avalanche just keep coming at you, line after line after line. Does that eventually just wear down Arizona? Is that where we're at with these two teams, where the Avalanche, if they put a full 60 together, I'm not saying that Arizona can't, they just can't match a full 60 of what the Avalanche can do.
Yeah, it feels like a 5-3 game late, just because the depth wills it to that, but it's going to be weird.
I think it's going to be fun. Arizona is a fun team to watch, so we shall see. What's not so fun to watch is this All-Star game, Kyle. And the NHL decided, that's called a segue. The NHL decided to, in their infinite wisdom, add a third day. Is that smart? You know where I sit on this. We are going to talk about that coming up next. But right now we're going to hear from Game Time, and you shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, theater, even the All-Star game, I guess, if you want to go to that. With killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, view from your seats, and the best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Some of the things that we love about the Game Time experience, they have those zone deals, like last-minute zone flash deals that zoom in on one area. And it's not just the cheap seats. It's the lower bowl seats as well, where you can get really good pricing on really good seats. Sometimes last minute. Like I said, they have those flash deals. And then the view from the seats, which Kyle and I talk about all the time, which is just chef's kiss in that app. It's fantastic. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So once again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Let's talk about this All-Star game this year. Mr. Sullivan in Toronto, and the league announced that they are adding a day, and there's some other changes that I'll talk about here in a second. But after last year, you heard, and you hear it every year, but I think after last year, you heard more cries of like, do we really need this? The All-Star game itself is horrible. It's so boring. The players are disinterested. And then the day before, when you have the skills competition, which is not, it's kind of like fluky, but I got more enjoyment out of that than the actual game.
Yeah.
So you always hear this around All-Star games, and do we really need them? You hear it a lot in the NFL where those players are just completely disinterested, and I get that. The NHL had released this saying that we are now moving it to 3 days. Okay. And here's right from the NHL website. The player draft will return to the NHL All-Star Weekend this season as part of the new NHL All-Star Thursday. Celebrities will be paired with captains who will pick the teams for the NHL All-Star Game from a pool of players selected by the NHL and the fans. So I wonder what C-listers we're going to get for celebrities to pick with our
I hope
captain.
you like Jelly Roll.
And then the NHL Alumni Association will announce its Man of the Year in tribute to the 1967 Toronto Maple Leafs. And I love that they put this little part on the NHL website right after that line, after the line of in tribute to the 1967 Maple Leafs, Toronto's last Stanley Cup team. That's just a twist of the knife right there. I'm sure Toronto fans love seeing that. The Professional Women's Hockey League will play a 3-on-3 game. That's cool. I think you should incorporate that more, definitely. NHL All-Star Game or NHL All-Star Thursday will be held at Scotiabank Arena, blah, blah, blah. And then the skills competition. So here's we've decided to add a third night to an already vibrant weekend. And NHL Chief Content Officer Steve Mayer said, we feel like this is the year. Excuse me. We felt like this was the year to make some changes. And Thursday night is one of the many other changes you're going to hear about in the coming weeks. Steve Mayer, in my opinion, is a genius. I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with him, but he is responsible for so much of like the activities that go around the NHL, all of those overseas games, the game in Australia, what they're doing for All-Star Weekend when last year in Florida when they did with the surfboards, like
and the golf,
the golf stuff, the Lake Placid game. Like he's responsible for he's almost like not a product man. What's those people that work for movies that go out and like scout locations and stuff like that? Like production assistant or something like that. Like he's got a job that I would love. And I think with that line, he's blowing smoke. I think even he knows that it's not a vibrant weekend.
That's when you take your research and flip it upside down. You say success. Look at that paragraph.
So what's your take on all this, man? You know,
all right. We know you hate the All-Star game, but for me,
All-Star games are terrible.
They're hitting. It was like they announced all this with me in mind. The player picks, I absolutely love. Do you not remember when they used to do that before? It's one of the clips they play of Phil Kessel all the time when he just like he was the last guy picked and they gave him a car.
Right.
That was Stasny that was picked in front of him, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And it's just you want to talk about marketing the players and giving them personality. This is where you restore that. If you have your all-stars out there, have that little back and forth, a little chirping that they do. That was fun. That's where you got personality. That's big. Having the women play a 3-on-3 game, let's go. It's about time. Let's go. You've seen them do the fastest skater. Let them have a game because the league's getting ready to debut. They need the publicity. They need this to work. So, yes, give them their place in the All-Star game. Let them play a game. That's awesome. This mystery third day, I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, the third day, I think the third day is just for the draft. I think that's what they're saying. The third day is for the draft, and then the other 2 days are your normal days. The skills and then the game.
Okay.
Right. So they basically just added a day for a draft.
They got to do a little bit more than just the draft. If you're going to add a whole day.
They probably will. And he said that. He's like, you'll hear about some stuff in the comments. They probably will.
But honestly, with that lineup right there, that's perfect. It's all I need. And like nobody's going to care. You're going to be so burnt out after the skills competition. Nobody's going to watch the All-Star game. And then you're right. And then I'm right. And we're all happy. And we get to continue on with the show.
That's the point. Like, yeah, the draft is better. Yeah. Okay. Like it's because, last year you had Cale Makar, Mikko Rantanen, and Nathan McKinnon we've seen them play together all the time. It is kind of cool to break them up and see it with Cale or even if Nathan McKinnon goes to play with Sidney Crosby, his buddy, or even Connor McDavid. That will be fun to see the mixing and matching of what the players and the teams are. But the game is still the same. The game is still nobody cares. So it's almost like I want to see the draft to see what the teams look like, and then I'm done. It's almost like how I really play fantasy football. I do a draft, and then I never pay attention to my team the entire year, and my team is horrible.
But I would watch Cale Makar try and block a shot from Nathan McKinnon in an opposing jersey. I would like to watch, like, seeing those little dynamics, or seeing Ovechkin and Crosby on the same team up against maybe Cale Makar, and I mean, it's just the possibilities of like what they could establish if they really hype it up for TV in that draft. And you're like, I want to see what that will look like. Maybe it could be interesting.
I will give it a chance. I will give it a chance, and I'm going to have to watch it because there's going to be Avalanche players like in this thing, so we have to talk about it. So I'm forced into watching it. But I don't know. I'm not an all-star guy, so we'll see where this goes. Over on Subtext, we have some comments here. James said, yeah, the only one I thought was fun to watch was when they had the women hockey players in the game. Otherwise, they're pointless.
Yep.
So he didn't really like it too much. This is Vargar. I don't know. I'd rather 2 days and make it a fan fest. I'd do a skills competition and a meet and greet with the players, maybe a casino night and a free skate for the kids. Comic-Con style panels. That's a genius idea with players and celeb interviews. Donate everything to charity. I'm excited for the PWHL. It's time for an all-in women's league. I love that Toronto plays in the old Maple Leafs garden. Plus they have Sarah Nurse. I'd make them my team, but Hillary Knight is on Boston. So that's creative.
Yeah,
that's new. That's different. I think they do. They have like their interviews and stuff like that, but that's just. I feel like you need to blow this thing up and just be really incredibly creative. That's creative.
No, I like that. Like Vargar's idea, make it like a Comic-Con, and the only game be the women's game.
Oh.
The only.
But then what do you do for their league?
No, your all-star game. Like, let that be their all-star game. Like, let that be their kickoff
like
to
before
the
their season even starts. Hey, but when does their season start? I don't know
December. It's I believe I want to say New Year's.
So then it would be their all-star game too, then, because it's it's probably in the middle of their Tanya, personally, I don't watch the all-star game. I never have. I occasionally watch the skills competitions, maybe 5 of them in my life. When players I like go, but they never seem to be having any fun, so I'm not a big fan myself either. So you're getting this little dynamic of people feeling that way. So, yeah, let me see. I think we had one more with Madam Battle Axe here. I can honestly take it or leave it. I'd rather it be 2 days so we can go back to our regularly scheduled program.
Hey.
And to be brutally honest, the ratings can't be that great. Why even still have it? That's a good ratings wise. And I know with all-star games, like to be named an all-star is a big deal. And there's some financial thing that comes with it too. If you win, you get a certain amount. Even if you're in your contracts, if you be named an all-star, you get. So you can still get that stuff, and you can still be tagged an all-star. Still have the voting. Still be named an all-star. Just don't play the stupid game. It's just where I'm at with it.
We used to celebrate the All-Star break as Avs fans because it was rest.
It was. But then they took that away because if you got named an all-star and you didn't want to go, you were like, would they suspend you or something?
Yeah,
you got fined.
And you missed a game.
So we'll see what all the extra stuff that we don't know yet, what comes into play as the weeks go on and the voting commences here pretty soon. So. All right, we have some mailbag questions from our fine people over at Subtext, so we are going to get to those next. Right now, we got eBay Motors, passion, drive, and patience. It's what brings home the winning trophy, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. And with eBay Motors, It has everything that you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and more. Whether you're into the Nathan McKinnon trio of speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. And eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. We're a day away from December, so why not get into some mailbag questions that are very heavily leaning towards the Christmas season? Why not, Kyle?
Bring it on.
I mean, come on. Like, is there a better time of the year than like right before we started recording? They're lighting the Rockefeller Center tree. Like, that's going like that's like, I don't know what the official start of Christmas season is. That's got to be one of them.
Black Friday.
Yeah. But Black Friday, man, how that has just gone down to it's really like Cyber Friday and Cyber Monday.
Yeah, because those deals last all weekend now.
Were you ever that guy that went out on Black Friday, midnight
when I was
sales?
much younger.
When you
before children, before all of that.
So Kyle Steele asks us, any unique Christmas or holiday traditions? Also, favorite Christmas movie? And a fun segment would be what dish each player would bring to a Christmas potluck.
Ooh.
We'll save that question for a little bit later, because that's what I want to think about. That's a fantastic question.
That's a great segment.
We'll get to the movie one in a second, but any yearly traditions that you guys do?
Yeah, growing up, we always opened our gifts on Christmas Eve, because my dad was so impatient. He could not wait for Christmas Day. So he said when he grew up, they'd always open gifts on Christmas Day and then go visit like grandparents, and he never got to play with his toys. Mm-hmm. So Christmas Eve is when we open gifts, and then it opens up Christmas Day to go visit family. So my dad was galaxy brain when it came to Christmas.
Really?
So I passed that tradition on to my children.
Oh my God. So your dad couldn't wait. Usually it's the kids that can't wait.
That's and he was always like, I want you guys to get your toys. I want you to see it. Like, he's like, I don't want to wait another day. So we opened it on Christmas Eve.
We do when I was a kid, right? And I had great grandparents that were still alive. So they were obviously older, a little bit slower. And one thing that we did was we would sing the 12 Days of Christmas, and we would each have a day. And it was kind of funny, but looking back, maybe kind of mean, where like the older folks struggled to really remember which number they had. And then we always gave my great grandmother the 5 golden rings part. And it was just, she butchered it every time. Like, she couldn't sing it properly. It was, so we still do it today. We get through it like that now. But back then when I was a kid, it was hilarious.
And see, and now when you hear that song being played, whatever store you go into, it takes you back to that memory. So
right, exactly. That's all I think of when I hear that song. No matter what version I hear, that's all I think of. Movies. We'll have another question on movies in a little bit, but right now, what are your go-to Christmas movies?
I don't know if this is something weird or nostalgic or coming with age, but Jingle All the Way right now.
You like that one, man.
I my son has Turbo Man. It's just, for some reason, I don't know if it's the cast. Like, it's not even like incredibly funny, but it's just, I absolutely love that movie.
Okay. All right. I'll give you 2. Like, my go-to is absolutely Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
I will watch that movie whenever it's on, even if it's in the dead of summer. Like, absolutely love that movie. A newer one, which I think came out 2 years ago, 8-Bit Christmas.
Yeah.
Dude, phenomenal movie. It's streaming on HBO Max, but I did see it on like TBS like last weekend. So it is also on cable as well. So keep an eye out for it. It will be in your yearly rotation of Christmas movies, guaranteed 100% if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
Watch
I need to.
You have to. Easton says the age-old question, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And then he gets into something else, which I'll bring up. But let's talk about that for a second. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Absolutely.
We're going to settle this debate right here on Locked On Avalanche. You know, the age-old debate, it's getting settled right now. Go ahead.
Absolutely a Christmas movie in my rotation every single year. Same for Spider-Man 1 is a Thanksgiving movie. Die Hard is absolutely a Christmas.
So here's the thing. It all comes down to what you consider a Christmas movie. Is a Christmas movie about Christmas, or is a Christmas movie just take place during Christmas? And if it just takes place during Christmas, then yeah, Die Hard's a Christmas movie. To me, no. Like I don't tune into Die Hard to get into the Christmas spirit. I just don't. So
Brother, it is a palate cleanser.
Nah, I mean it toes that line of, it's just how are you wording what a Christmas movie is. And for me, it just takes place during Christmas. So I guess, okay, it can be. If you think about it, Home Alone just takes place during Christmas. There's not a ton of Christmas stuff in that movie.
And you know, Harry Potter is also, Sorcerer's Stone is set during Christmas.
Section, yeah.
Right. It goes on during Christmas, but it's also played during like all the 25 Days of Christmas movie marathons because it's got that Christmassy feel.
And it has that one scene where they're opening,
and there's no debate. Nobody ever cares about that. Die Hard, we have issues with. No, not so fast, my friend.
So I guess we're not settling it, because you say that it is, and if you're gonna hold my feet to the fire or hold my feet to the Yule log, I'm gonna say no. It's not.
Hans Gruber advent calendar, everything.
That's a funny advent calendar, by the way. Yeah. He also says, he asked about Christmas traditions, and he says, a few years ago, we started doing the giant saran wrap ball game, and it's been a hit. And I was like, I don't know what that is. So you have to tell me. So here it is. He says, in our family, candy, protein bars, coins, cash, and gift cards get wrapped up in a giant saran wrap ball, like several hundred layers. And it gets quickly heated up in the oven to compress. Then you stand around a table to start, and you start with the youngest, going to the oldest, and they have on oven mitts. They get to until the ball as fast as they can until the next person rolls double with the pair of dice. I don't know if I'm understanding that right. Then you pass the dice to the next person, and you get past the oven mitts. You get to keep all prizes that fall out during your unwrapping. The game ends when the ball is finished. It's very high energy.
Oh my word.
I got to go look that up, because that seems intense and awesome at the same time. Where did they come up with this game? Is this a normal thing? Or they just come up?
It's part of the Santa Claus lore.
Oh my God. I kind of want to do that.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. My word.
That's kind of funny. That is
like I'm like thinking about how this could all possibly go conceptually, and it's just sign me up.
I know. I'm gonna go look up YouTube videos and see, like, people.
I'm gonna wake my kids up. We're gonna go for a practice run.
I'd just be afraid to put money in an oven, even though it's wrapped up. You're putting money in an oven just for a few seconds. I don't know. And last, we're gonna get to Vargar. He says, "What characters do you see yourself as in the Marvel universe?" Ooh. Love this question. If you need a second to think about it, I can throw mine out. Because go ahead, unless you know yours.
I have two that come to mind.
Go ahead.
Number one would have to be, it's like my only Marvel guy I like adore, and he's no longer exists. It's the Punisher. They've killed him off for good.
Oh, you mean he'll be back?
No, they want nothing to do with the Punisher anymore. So Marvel has got rid of the Punisher, which is fine. Okay. I understand. But Punisher, and
nobody's ever really dead in the Marvel universe. So,
and then my namesake, Victor Von Doom.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
I love Dr. Doom. He is one of the most deepest and most engaging villains. I love Dr. Doom.
For me, there's an X-Man named Darwin, he was in one of the movies. Kevin Bacon killed him. Whatever the one Kevin Bacon was in.
3?
I don't know. No, it was like not Days of Future Past or anything, but like he adapts to his environment. He's really cool character.
Cool.
But the one that I really like is, and I'm going with this in a different direction, but is Absorbing Man. And Absorbing Man was, if anybody's fans of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a good amount. And he just, it's exactly what it sounds like whatever, like he can just absorb your powers and stuff like that. The reason why I picked him was just like to bring it into hockey. That's all I do. Like I love reading articles and just scouring the internet and listening to podcasts and watching the NHL Network and watching NHL games. And I love absorbing anything like that has to do with the National Hockey League right now and the Colorado Avalanche. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. He uses it for bad because he's a bad guy. I wouldn't use it for bad. I would just use it to absorb all the hockey knowledge that I could absolutely conjure up into my melon here. Yeah.
And yeah, that's right. And you're the Marvel guy of the two.
I'm
the DC guy. So that'd be like the Polka Dot Man equivalent.
You are. Okay. I don't even know who that is, but I will take your word for it. So, all right, everybody. That's going to be it for today. Hopefully you learned some. We had some other questions there, which we'll save for another time, but that's going to wrap it up for today. Enjoy the game. I think it's going to be a fun one. I, of course, think the Avs can take this one. I think Mr. Von Doom does as well. So however it goes, we will be back to talk about it tomorrow. So enjoy the game. And thank you for tuning in and making Locked On Avalanche your number one listen of the day. That's always appreciated. For Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
Hey.
And we'll see you tomorrow.